welcome all of you to this morning to the Human Services Building. I'm Shirla Simpson. I'm the Director of Human Services here in Burlington County. And welcome for this very special event, Inclusion Drives Innovation. Thank you all for attending as we recognize the award recipients and those who supported them. It is always important to recognize how employment opportunities make a difference in someone's life, no matter their abilities. Employment can be life-changing and leads to other opportunities in a person's future. Let's begin with our program and our first guest. The Human Services Department is fortunate to work with Freeholder Linda Hughes. Freeholder Hughes comes to the Human Services Department with the experience of her years working as a board member for the Burlington County Board of Social Services and also Rowan College of Burlington County. Please welcome Freeholder Hughes.
Good morning. Thank you, Shirla, and thank you everyone for joining us today. During National Disability Employment Awareness Month, we recognize individuals with disabilities and their contributions and achievements to the workforce. National statistics show that about 1 in 5 people have a disability. That's an estimated 1.7 million people in New Jersey. Here in Burlington County, we embrace everyone's differences and uniqueness. And the Freeholder Board has a particular goal of ensuring that all county residents have employment opportunities, all county residents. So the award recipients and employers here today showcase how inclusion drives innovation. Today we honor and recognize those who have overcome their disabilities and use their abilities and talents to gain and maintain employment. I also commend those businesses who have diversified their workforce by hiring job seekers based upon their talents. Job seekers who bring fresh ideas, innovation, productivity, and employee morale. By hiring employees with diverse backgrounds and talents, employers strengthen their workforce. And Burlington County works best when our residents are given the tools to succeed. So I want to thank everyone again for being here today, and I want to congratulate all of our award recipients. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again, Freeholder Hughes, for giving us your time. I also want to thank our County Administrator, Eve Cullinan, back in our corner there, for making a visit. Now for our keynote speaker. We're lucky enough to have Kurt Jung here, and I'm going to give you kind of an overview of his vast experience before he speaks. Kurt Jung is an attorney for the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. He currently is involved with the processing of employment discrimination cases involving federal employees. As a former enforcement supervisor, Kurt oversaw the investigation of charges of discrimination filed pursuant to Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 as amended, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, the Equal Pay Act, and the Genetic Information Act of 2008. Prior to becoming supervisor, he was an EEOC trial attorney and litigated employment discrimination cases on behalf of aggrieved parties and the Commission. As an EEOC Philadelphia District Office Speaker to employer and constituency groups, he has presented on topics related to the mission of the Commission and has provided technical assistance to businesses as the district's small business liaison. He also has extensive experience as an EEOC investigator. Prior to working for the EEOC, Kurt worked for the Department of the Navy and the Department of Justice, where he was involved with the counseling and investigation of employment discrimination cases in the federal sector. In 2002, he was appointed by the Governor of New Jersey to serve as a commissioner on the New Jersey Asian American Commission. He was previously elected to serve on the board of directors of the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation and served on the Superior Court of New Jersey's Burlington Vicinage Advisory Committee on Minority Concerns. Kurt is a licensed attorney for the state of New Jersey and a graduate of Temple University School of Law. Please welcome Kurt Jung.
Thank you. I think we're really ahead of the schedule here. I was supposed to start at 10:15, and then we're only 10:05. Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the commission first, and then we'll talk about the theme of today's topic, which is inclusion drives innovation. Does anyone know anything about the commission, the EOC? Has anyone dealt with our office or dealt with any of our offices? No? Okay. We are a federal agency of the federal government. We have 5 commissioners at the top, and we were started back in 1965 after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, and to carry on the work of John Kennedy's in the area of civil rights. Our agency is run by 5 commissioners, and only 3 of those commissioners can come out of one party. And the president can appoint them, but they can only come out of, 3 of those can come out of one party. And any time there's any type of policy in the area of employment discrimination, they have to have a vote in which they try to reach consensus. And they wanted to do that because they didn't want one party to get in and start changing the policies of employment discrimination. So they thought it was that important back in 1965 to make sure that all the policies would carry all the things that the Civil Rights Act was all the purposes would go on. Okay. So I work in what's known as the Philadelphia District Office. We're made up of 15 districts throughout the whole country, and our mission is to eradicate employment discrimination. Okay. We have charges and complaints can be filed against companies as well as against the federal government, and that we process. Anytime someone comes in, they can file, as long as it's an employment discrimination type of complaint, and it's based on race, gender, national origin, age, disability, religion, and color, we can take that charge. Okay. All right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our topic today, inclusion drives innovation. I'm going to start. I always start, if anyone knows a lot of my presentations, I usually start with a test. And if you look on the page that's there, there's a true and false test. If you look at it, it's A, B, C, and D. Take a look at those. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to take a look at it, and I'm going to ask what your answers are. It's on this page, this one single page that's there. Okay, did everyone get a chance to look at those 4 statements? And I'm asking whether they're true or false. Let me talk about the first one. Persons with disabilities are less productive than workers without disabilities. Is that true or false? Anyone? False. Okay. All right. Why? Why would it be false? Anyone? Oh, Vicky.
Well, for example, deaf people cannot hear, but they're not involved with office gossip. I'm just kidding. That's the only thing we're missing. For people who are deaf, they often focus quite well on their work because they're not overhearing the chat of their coworkers. And they are able to do everything that they need to in the workplace. And there's other ways to compensate for not being able to hear. So they're still able to do all of their duties.
Good answer. Yeah. All right, what about the next one? It's better for persons with disabilities, I should say, to work near other persons with, I'm sorry, there's mistakes in here. Is it better for with disabilities to work near other persons with disabilities? In other words, is it better for them to work with other people who are disabled or to be mixed into the crowd? Is that true or false? So that's false. All right. What about the third one? Persons with disabilities do not enjoy socializing outside the workplace. That's false. Okay. And persons with disabilities are unable to complete jobs faster than coworkers who do not have disabilities. False. Now, they asked these questions in a 2014 study throughout the country. They asked employers, they asked workers in the workforce, and you believe it or not, they had a spectrum of what people thought. And it was amazing that some people thought what you said was false and what they thought was true. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And it has to do with the culture that we live in, what we're used to, what we've been told as a child, what if we know other people with disabilities, what our experiences are. So that we draw from that to get our conclusions. All right. Now, there have been many studies that show that more diversity drives innovation and creativity. And as we get into 2017, 2018, 2019, we're seeing that companies are trying to do much, much more and to make that happen. And why does it happen? There was one thing called groupthink. Is anyone familiar with that term, groupthink? In which you are in a group, and if that group is homogeneous, meaning they're like you, suppose they're of the same race, the same social and economic status, the same area of the country, a lot of people will think the same, and what they will be coming out with when they're asking for solutions to problems, they'll be coming out with the same solutions, or they would have repetition. You see a lot of repetition in that, and sometimes there's one person who's in the group who thinks differently than the other people in the group, and they don't say anything. Has that ever happened to you? Where you're in the middle of a group and everyone's thinking one way, and you have a different idea than them, and you're not sure whether you should open your mouth or not, and then nothing comes out, right? Or you do say something, and everyone says, okay, that was nice, and then they move on, right? They ignore what you're saying. It happens all the time, and they found in these studies where the groups get together and the person who's different or who's come from a different background or has a different idea gets sort of shut out or ignored, and that happens. And that's where innovation starts to break down in those cases. There's less and less thought going on, and there's no new ideas because of that, and that's what groupthink is. I'm going to tell a little story about that, of something I was involved with. I do a lot of, if you look at my VTA, I do a lot of volunteer work on various nonprofit organization boards. And the latest one that I was involved with was a music school, a nonprofit music school in Burlington County. And I was one of the newer members when I came in. And every person who was on this board were sort of the same. They sort of had the same ideas, the same views. And I was on this board for maybe only 9 months, and the board was trying the school was actually failing, and they were talking about ideas that they did before, and they were trying the same ideas over and over again, and it was just kept on failing and failing, and as the amount of money in that nonprofit shrunk, we became in the we had a financial problem. And I tried to give my ideas. I tried to do fundraisers, and then I realized it was me and one other board member of the 8 members of the board was doing fundraisers, and no one else was doing anything, and they didn't even show up because they said it's useless. we're not going to, we're sunk. We don't have enough money to pay the rent. We don't have enough money to pay the teachers. So the school actually closed. It closed in my short tenure on that board of directors. It closed. However, after maybe about a month, we saw that teachers were going to lose their jobs. We saw that people were going to be out of work after they were all laid off. And some of us got together and decided to create another board and then create a school. Only this time, it wasn't the same board. I was involved with it with another parent in that music school, and we ended up getting people who were from different backgrounds, from different areas of New Jersey, from different thought process, different races, different sex, male and female. And we opened back up in February of this last year. And we, not only were we doing a music school, we had other ideas that came out. Okay, before the old music school, we just teach lessons pretty much and it was a Suzuki school, and they brought the Suzuki method of learning how to play music to the people. And they were competing against other music schools, and then we couldn't keep it staying in business. But the new music school, we got together and someone says, hey, we need to have a music program that's not just Suzuki, but for everyone. Not only do we need it for everyone, we need it to have other people who can't necessarily take lessons because of a disability, because there's no one there that would have that expertise. So we started a program where we had typical students taking lessons as well as one for children with disabilities. And then some of the board members came in saying, hey, there's a nursing home. They would love to take lessons, the people in this nursing home. So we started having a program for the elderly, and that they can take lessons, and the kids are performing. And now the success of the school has just grown and grown, and we're up to about 80 students now. And then we have a preschool program also. So it's sort of started. But why did that happen? Why did the other school fail when the newer school that I was on happened? And I attributed it to all the ideas that were coming from different people. So that when you have a diverse group of people, it made me realize that they're coming up with these ideas. We wouldn't have never been able to accomplish this without those ideas. And matter of fact, every time we had a problem, it was so easy to solve. Someone would come up with a question. We need a place that the rent's going to be cheap enough for us to sustain ourselves. Someone came in with a church, so we're in that church, and they were able to get those connections. They were able to start making phone calls. We need teachers. They started calling up people. They got teachers. So we've had people who had these ideas that came in and various ways of getting that, where I didn't have that at the other board. So it's just really interesting that it does make a difference, and that innovation it breeds itself from the diversity and the inclusion of other people. Okay, so what we learned from this is that everyone has differences. Everyone in this room it's a very diverse group. I can see in this room, every one of us has differences, but if the group has the same goal, that's what's the commonality. That's what links everything together. When we have different people from different backgrounds who can bring up certain issues and I can see this group that they have, and talking to amongst you, they have great ideas. And why is that? And everyone's not talking the same. Everyone's not talking the same language when I talk to them. Everyone has sees it from a different part, a portion of the employment in Burlington County. So that's great. So how can we strengthen the group? When you have a group of diverse people, what do we need? We still need to go farther than just diversity. We need to establish what's known as equality. In other words, everyone in the group is an equal in the group. They give their ideas. They're not afraid to speak out. If they disagree with something, they say something. But that's what makes it stronger. But everyone has a say or equal say in it. If you don't have that, where you have, we've seen groups where there be supervisors and the workers are afraid to speak out against their supervisor because they're afraid that they're going to either retaliate or they're going to think badly at them. You can't have a group like that to have innovation. You have to have equals, everyone who's equal at that table and able to express their feelings without fear of someone thinking bad of them. Even if it's a bad idea or they're mulling over certain ideas, even if it's a bad idea, they can actually bring that up and at least make that discussion, because that breeds even more ideas. It breeds more innovation. So what are some barriers to inclusion? Okay, there's several barriers that there's three major ones. There's physical barriers, right? Meaning that you might not include someone because you scheduled a meeting where the only way you can get to the room is there's stairs, and there's no elevator for other people to get there who have persons with disabilities to get there. That's a physical barrier. Or you put it in a building that's not ADA compliant. Or you schedule a meeting and one of your workers is deaf and they don't have an interpreter. Okay, those are barriers that we have to all be aware of that. It even happened in my office. We have a deaf employee. Someone says, "Oh, we need an emergency meeting," and everyone's in the meeting room, and this person comes in. There's no interpreter, and so we realized that we needed to do something quickly, and that was what sparked the innovation of using getting the interpreter earlier, or using other methods of communicating, closed captioning services and of those type of sorts. So that's what we need to do, and we need to make sure that in an emergency that we were able to get those people. Now, the second thing is perception, which is attitudes and culture. All those questions that you were answered, it has to do with attitudes and culture. And people sometimes have a different attitude towards the disabled, towards persons with disabilities. And that goes to what their upbringing, what they've been told, whether they're true or not, stereotypes, right? That they can't do this, what they can and can't do without even realizing or even thinking about it. And that's important that we don't get into that trap, thinking that people can't do things because of a disability. And education, okay? Giving other people the opportunity to, people with disabilities, the opportunity to be educated and to go to any university they want. They have the right, to give them the ability to like anyone else, to get a degree, to learn, to be in a classroom with others, whether they need accommodations or not, making sure that happens. Because when there's fewer barriers, there's education and there's awareness of all these issues. Goals, it leads to goals, meeting goals and inclusion, right? We want everyone to be included. And from inclusion, we get innovation, all right? One of the heroes that I have, that I like to talk about is Margaret Bancroft. Anyone from Bancroft here? Okay. Bancroft is a school that's right now is in Haddonfield. It's going to be moving to Burlington County, and they purchased an 80-acre plot of land and they built on it. And it's for children with disabilities, students with disabilities who have developmental disabilities. And it's a big thing to the Bancroft community because the new school is going to have a swimming pool. It's going to have a working ShopRite in there where the children who graduate from the school can get a job or can actually learn the skills to stock shelves, to do things, meaningful employment. And there's a Wawa that they have there now. I don't know if that's being brought over, but the kids work with the Wawa. They make the sandwiches. They do everything. They take the money. They do all the different things in it. It's so for employment. The school has a residential program where children who graduate from the school can actually live there and have a social worker live with them and gives them the opportunity to work in the working world. There's also other programs, over 200 homes throughout the whole country that any of these kids, I call them kids, adults who have disabilities can live in. So there's a lot of things that have happened. All right, and it all started from a woman named Margaret Bancroft. She lived from 1854 to 1912. In 1833, she saw that there was a need for people with neurological disabilities. Back in those days, they would put them in institutions. They would leave them there, and they said, "Oh, they can't do anything for society, and we're just going to leave them there." She saw through that. She was a very talented teacher. She got her degree in teaching, and all the people at the time in 1883 said, "You should spend more time with students who are more worthwhile, not children with disabilities," and she refused to believe that. So she started with she's a very wealthy woman, come from a very wealthy family. She started with a one-room schoolhouse in Haddonfield, New Jersey. You can actually see it's a still historical building, and her statue's there. And she took in she went to New York City and got her first student and brought her back there to teach her. And her dream was that everyone with disabilities and these type of disabilities can actually be part of the working world and can actually be educated. And if she knew what was going on today from her legacy, she'd be rolling in her grave with happiness. So it's one of the success stories, just to show you. And she was one of the people who refused to believe that she had a goal. She refused to believe that this was impossible, and she got the right people together. And through all that, including people who knew about these disabilities and had that knowledge and experience, she was able to use her innovation to create this. And it just keeps on going on and on. It just shows you how big it can get. So, all right. So how are barriers removed? Barriers are removed through reasonable accommodations and technical advances. We're seeing a lot of technical advances now. I mean, we're seeing there's actually an iPad type of machine, no offense for the sign language interpreters, but there's actually an iPad machine that's being developed called Motion Savvy, and it's developed by RIT, where you can actually, the person who's deaf can actually sign into it, and it speaks whatever they're signing. Amazing. So that they can, and the person could just talk into it and it signs back to them. It's a big breakthrough. Technology in that sense is great. There's a lot of things that are going on with people with disabilities, with technological advances. And the only worry that I have is that it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs because of the technological advances. However, it sort of, these technological advances sort of doesn't give the employers excuses for not hiring people. They're able to now, with the reasonable accommodations and with these advances, they're able to do things. We have a deaf secretary who works through a video phone, and she's able to make calls on that video phone. And she's not afraid to get on the phone with someone now, or pick up the phone when someone calls in and sign back and go through that interpreter. She did a fantastic job. So it shows that it can be done. So, you know, people with disabilities are becoming more and more a part of the workforce, so it's going to be becoming part of the norm. So I'm really happy to see that more and more you go into an office area, you'll be able to see other people with disabilities and how employers are handling it. So it's a lot more innovations coming out of that. So they're looking to see, oh, gee, I have a job to do. How am I going to be able to get this person so they can do that job? And with some reasonable accommodations. We had a case where someone was blind, and they were working for a company, I'm not going to say which company it is, but they would be loading boxes onto trucks. And they were able to use a reader to read the box. And they would go into the truck and then put it on the pallet. And that's what their job was, just keep on doing that. And we had a supervisor come in and say, they're blind, this is a safety hazard, this is not going to happen, this can't happen. And actually laid that person off because they were without even looking to see if there was going to be accommodations. And during that case, we were able to show that that person was able to safely get the box off the truck, read it, and put that on a pallet like anyone else through that technological innovation. So it's just that sometimes that perception and that attitude that gets in the way of all this. And so I'm really happy that that's happening. So with a little bit of thinking and a little bit of awareness and perception, education, and removing those barriers by giving people reasonable accommodation, the disabled can do almost anything. And I truly believe that. So that's all I have today. Is there any questions or any comments anyone has? Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to get started with our award presentations. I'm good. Okay, I'm going to be introducing each person that has actually made the nomination for the award, and we are going to start with an award, the nomination that was made by America Works. Steve Giannotti.
Thank you very much. Good morning. For those of you that don't know about us, America Works is a company that's been around since the early 1980s, and we get state, federal, and county contracts to help people get into the workforce and stay in the workforce. We've employed about 700,000 people, a little bit more than that since the early 1980s. We work with the county. We also have a a federal program through the Social Security Administration. There's some literature on that, where we help people between the ages of 18 and 64 that are on SSI or SSDI to get back into the job force with courses that we teach, and also hooking them up with different employers. It's really a terrific program, this Ticket to Work program. You know, it's funny, politicians take a lot of heat lately for what they do. Legislators take a lot of heat for what they do and what they don't do. But this Ticket to Work program is something that they really put together as a wonderful program. Because people on Social Security that really want to get back into the workforce and contribute are able to keep all their benefits for at least 9 months, all the medical and everything. And there's other provisions for them after that. So we left some literature out there and everything. It's a very, very meaningful program. But what we do here in the county is we are given people, and we are in charge of helping them not only find jobs, but to help them with significant course structure to help them find the job, keep the job, stay gainfully employed. We have an 83-part curriculum that our participants go through. And it has the normal things that you would think an employment type agency has: the resume, the cover letter, the elevator speech, the how to handle the tough questions on the interview. But we do a lot more than that. We really teach them things about that they're going to run into on getting back in the job force: job blues, conflict resolution, working with an employee that maybe be violating certain company policies, how to handle that, and so forth. And we teach a lot of customer service, because almost every business has some aspect of customer service. So we really emphasize that. And what we have a very nice young man, Francesco Gropicchio, that we nominated. And he came to us through DVR. Leslie Jack met with Francesco and looked over his case and saw a lot of potential in him and his desire to find work. He was a sergeant in the corrections of Burlington County, and he was seriously injured performing duties there, restricting an out-of-control prisoner. But he's the type of guy that doesn't give up. The doctors told him he couldn't do that work anymore. He couldn't do that any work anymore. He didn't take no. He still tried to do it. So we went back in there, and he found out the doctors were right. He couldn't work in the prison system anymore. So during that time, it was tough economic times and everything, and then he's a certain age where he's changing over careers. He went to Workforce New Jersey and went and sat down with Leslie Jack. Leslie Jack really saw a lot of potential in him, and she figured out with his security background in the prisons that he would be a good fit in the security field. And she knew that we at America Works had placed a lot of people in the security industry. So she gave him to us. And when we got Francesco, remember, people with disabilities can basically come in with a frown. They could be negative. They could just think, what else am I going to do? Not Francesco. Francesco really was a great example of something that we do at America Works. When the people first come in, we sit them down and we do a psychological evaluation. And it's through the University of Pennsylvania program. And it's a detailed evaluation to figure out what their strengths are. And we found that when you determine the strengths of the individuals and you marry those strengths with the career path or the job that they're looking for, you wind up with a very happy employer and employee. The employee is happy because he's happy on the job. It carries over into his life. But the employer gains what we consider an engaged employee. An engaged employee is the type of employee that not only exceeds expectations, but they're long-term employees, which is good for both parties. So Francesco came to our class not with a frown, with a smile. He went through all of our courses. He inspired us, and he inspired his fellow classmates at that time. Anything we asked him to do, he tried. And any aspect of the job search that we asked him to do, he was glad to take it. I remember doing mock interviews with him. Any suggestion that you would make, he adapted, and he just turned everything into something positive. So, I mean, he was a terrific person. I thank Leslie for sending to us, and I thank Allied Universal for embracing him and taking him. They recognized his strengths, and he's actually done really well for the last 3.5 years. I get reports. I talk to him regularly. He's positively reviewed. His supervisor loves him, and HR loves me for giving them to him. So with that, I'd like to introduce Francesco.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to get a picture of you guys. Lauren is going to take a picture right there. Just hold your elbow in the front. This way? This way? Yeah. That's nice. First, I'd like to thank God. Without him, I wouldn't be here. I want to also thank my wife, Vivian. She's been my rock, by my side the entire time. Without her, I don't know what I'd do. I'd like to thank the freeholders. I'd like to thank Bruce Gargano. I don't know if he's here today. And I'd also like to thank Linda Hughes, the freeholder who spoke before. I don't know where she is now. I'd like to thank Shola Simpson. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Steve Mader. Thank you very much. What you guys do is very important, not just to myself, but to everybody. I'd like to thank my DVR counsel, Leslie Jack. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you very much. It was Leslie that helped me find my other skills that I had in security, and she helped connect me to to America Works, and where I met Steve. I'd like to thank Kinder and Raza of America Works. You guys got a wonderful staff and a great program. Where are you? Who's here? Ah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you both. You all probably heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Well, at America Works, they help us plan. They help me plan, and they help me put together things along with my skills. They help me get ready for interviews and to go on interviews. And they would connect me with Allied Universal. That's the company I work for now, and they set me up with an interview with Jerry. Jerry's over here, Jerry Andre, and it was Steve Giannotti at America Works. There you go. He helped me and coached me. He became my friend there and helped coach me, got me through the interviews so we can rehearse and practice them. So when he connected me with Jerry, I felt a little more confident, even though it's been a long time since I've been on any interviews. And once I met Jerry, the ball started rolling. Next thing I know, I was hired, and I've been there for 3.5 years. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Steve. Just want to also mention what got me through all this is my faith in God and all the people that supported me, my upbringing, my background. I grew up in an Italian family. My grandparents came from Italy on a boat to Ellis Island. My name's on a plaque on Ellis Island. It's actually my grandfather's name, but it's mine too. Some things that were very important growing up in the family was God and family. My dad worked 6 days a week and showed me that you take care of your family, you know. My mom made sure we went to church. So when I was in Brooklyn, it was easy because I was born in Brooklyn. We just walked down the block to church. When we moved to New Jersey, it was a little different. My mom at first didn't drive, so we had to walk 6 miles. So we walked 6 miles every Sunday to church until she got her license and drove. That made it a lot better. So God was very important growing up and gave us our faith. That helped me get through a lot of things. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But one of my role models was my dad, because he worked 6 days a week, and he showed me a lot on how important work was and taking care of the family. Also, my godfather, he was a New York City police officer. So I knew when I was young I wanted to be involved in law enforcement at some time. And I had that chance down here in Burlington County with the Department of Corrections. Unfortunately, we can't always see what's going to happen in the future, and because of my injury, I winded up without any work. And I humbled myself, and I asked for help. I asked God to help me, and I was led to Miss Jack, thank you, and she connected me, and so forth until I got work. But before I go, there's one thing I do want to mention, something else that I thought about. Because many times I felt like Job in the Bible, who had everything and then he lost everything. And then he got it all back because he kept his faith in God. So I remembered that. And it also says in the Bible that God's ways are not our ways, and man's ways are not God's ways. So I knew. I had no idea what his plans were, but I knew he had a plan. And I just kept that. Kept that with me always, and I kept the hope. People look at me and they say, well, he doesn't look like anything wrong with him. You know, you can't see the physical disability that I have. And that's a lot of people out there. I mean, unless I show you the scar on my arm where they did surgery or reports, you don't necessarily see. And that's a lot of people with disabilities have, things that you can't see. We're not wearing neck braces or we're not in wheelchairs, but we still have those same disabilities, and we have to deal with them through our life, day by day. There's many times where I walk in the store with my wife, and she'll be the one picking up the case of water, and people will look and wonder, why isn't he getting it? Why is she picking it up? You know? And it's okay, because I don't judge them because they don't know. They don't know. Just like I don't know until I walk in somebody else's shoes. Even people without disabilities have their own problems in life. It's like in this movie I saw, I don't know if anybody ever seen this movie. It's called The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. It's about a young Indian fella, and he's working on this, excuse me. He's working fixing up a hotel that travelers can come and spend time in India and see and get to know India. But the hotel needs a lot of repairs. And people get there and they're looking at the hotel, and it's nothing like what it looks like in the pictures. In the pictures it looks all nice, but when they get there, it's not exactly what it looks like in the pictures. And one thing he says that stuck with me for a long time, and I'm going to leave you with this thought, is he says, everything will be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. And just want to leave you with that thought. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Francesca. You've been an inspiration to us all. Now I'm going to introduce Jerry Andre from Allied Universal, who hired Francesco. And I just have to say this about this company. They've been working with America Works for well over a decade. Jerry and I have been working together for over 4 years now. And I can say, related to what we're doing here, Jerry and the staff there at Allied Universal go out of their way to accommodate and help people with disabilities find jobs. They're very passionate about it, and we know that we can go to them and rely on them when we have the right person, and so forth. Jerry's very thorough in what he does. He's very professional, and his staff is professional. When I send my participants to interview with Jerry and his staff, they need to be on the top of their game because they know how to interview and they ask all the questions. They're tactful and they're warm, but they get the information. So I respect them for that. They also seem to understand the thing about hiring people with disabilities, that they actually are an inspiration to their coworkers and so forth. And it's not just that it reflects on the company as being good, but people with disabilities that we live with and work with do get in our hearts. When we see them remove obstacles and be positive and just contribute, it makes us want to do all that more with what we have. Sure, there's the Helen Kellers that had disabilities and did unbelievable things that were famous, and there's Franklin Delano Roosevelt that led us through the Great Depression and led us through the perils of World War II. But it's really the people and our families and our neighbors and our friends that overcome these disabilities that get into our hearts and serve as a motivation to us all. Now, Jerry's company, it's a credit to them that they do this because they're a big company. They are they have 150,000 employees. They're the largest security firm in North America, and they recently received 2 significant awards in the ACES Award, which is the International Convention for Security. They received the award for the most outstanding security officer, and they received an award for the most outstanding customer service initiative. And that's something that's very significant about them, and that's why I knew Francesco would do well, because he's positive. What they do is they look for people that can deliver customer service, not just to their customers, but most importantly, at the in-store level, at the business level, to their customers' customers. And that's one of the big things that they look for, and I saw in Francesco, and Jerry obviously astutely picked that up, and it's worked out. So it's a terrific company. Steve Jones, who runs their company as the CEO, started out in 1976 as the CEO of Universal Security. It was a $12 million company then. At the end of 1976, Steve Jones is still the CEO, but now it's a $5 billion company. And they have the reputation for really not only securing the different companies and businesses and hospitals and schools that they work in, they do it with a customer service vein. So with that, I wanted to introduce Jerry. Jerry has 10 years of HR experience at the area and district level. He's placed too many people to count. He has his bachelor's from Rutgers in labor-related fields. He has 2 masters, one in HR and one in labor relations. So he's very professional and very qualified, and I would like to introduce him now. He's also was elected Big East. You were selected Big East Academic All-American, weren't you? Yes. Okay, congratulations.
Wow, what an award. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
I am happy to be here today, and I'm also happy to be part of a wonderful event. And so, driving here today, I had the opportunity to think of what I'm going to say about Francesco and this wonderful organization. Steve and I have worked for multiple years, and we have had the opportunity to have a huge impact on the lives of a lot of individuals with disability. In addition to that, by being part of Allied Universal and using the avenues and tools that we have at the company, we are able to have a lot of impact on America itself in making sure that we can have an impact on how people with disability are viewed and how and the amount of success that they also have on a day-to-day level as far as going to work, reaching and communicating with the people in our communities as well. Part of Allied Universal's mission statement is to serve and protect the people within our communities. And so Francesco have done just that. He's a true example that people with disability can have an impact on our community and can have success in a bright future as well. There's an old adage that states, disability presents themselves in our lives so that way we can show others that we have the ability to be great. Thank you.
Okay, for the next award, can we bring up Tony Scott from the New Jersey Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Scott. I'm with DVR Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services. We are the state agency that assists individuals with disabilities and limitations to obtain and maintain employment. Very similar to America Works, we're trying to work with someone's strengths and abilities, and trying to match up careers that they can succeed in. So I'm actually introducing today my client, Injiri. Working with DVR, we work with all different types of disabilities. It could be something physical, cognitive, mental health, really anything. So what I love the most about DVR is that you really never know who's going to walk through the door. You don't know what type of client it is that you're going to have. And I think that that's what makes my job so exciting and never boring, because one day it could be someone with a learning disability, the next day a physical limitation, and the next day maybe TBI. So it's quite different and exciting all at the same time. So a lot of times, we go through a lot of changes within offices and staff and things like that, and it can always be very challenging and wondering, questioning, we do so much. When are we ever going to get a positive outcome? And then when you do get such a great success, it is thrilling and exciting. And, you realize the reason you do this is to help people, reach their goals. I remember the first time that I met Injiri, she didn't really talk to me at all. Mom helped a lot. Mom helped kind of answer a lot of the questions and was a great support. And the more I continued to work with her and the more we met, and more interviews she went on and felt more confident about herself, you could really just see her begin to flourish and really come out of her shell. Today was actually the first time I got to see Injiri in probably about a year. I was out on maternity leave for a little bit. Someone else was overseeing her case, and we talked on the phone. I talked with her job coach, talked to Mom, so I knew she was doing well, but today was the first time I got to see her in a really long time. And she came up and gave me a huge hug and was asking about my son and asking to see pictures, and very different than when I first got to meet her. So it was really great to see her showing confidence and opening up and her self-esteem really growing. And I think that that's what I love the most about doing what I do, because you have this person who comes through the door and you're kind of questioning their ability and their skills to really succeed, and then a couple years down the road, you see them so confident and out there and doing things that you really never thought they would be doing. So it's been a pleasure working with you, Injiri. And I wanted to let you know as well that today I'm going to be successfully rehabbing your case, because you have done the golden rule with DVR. You've obtained and maintained employment for over 90 days successfully on your own, and that's what we're striving for. And you're amazing. So please come up here.
Good morning. I would like to thank the Burlington County Board of Chosen Freeholders and the Human Services Advisory Council for selecting me for this recognition. It is such an honor to be considered. I would like to also thank my counselor, Ms. Tony Scott, and the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, DVR, for nominating me. I thank my mom and my dad for showing me how to be a dependable worker. I would also like to thank my mom for her support, love, and prayers during this part of my journey. Most of all, I thank God, my family, my church family, for the unconditional love and support they've always shown me. DVR and the job coaches DVR provides helped me obtain 2 jobs. I had success for over 4 years at HMS Host until moving on to Wawa, my current job. Thanks, Rose Stewart, for helping me, especially during the transition from one job to the other. To anyone in the audience that has any kind of disability, let me tell you this. If someone tells you you cannot do something because you're limited in some way, shape, or form, don't give up. I've been told several times in my life that I would not be able to do things. But with God's help, hard work, and motivation, I've been able to do things that others said I would not be able to do. The DVR program is a really good one. It has helped me become a success. I hope this program continues to be successful because there are so many others out there who need it. DVR, thank you for your assistance in placing me in jobs where I could make it.
So Njeri has been working at Wawa, and as we know, it's a business that has to run, and unfortunately, her supervisor, manager, was unable to make it last minute. They had some short-staffed, probably because Njeri's here, getting her award. But so they are unable to make it. But to speak for her employer's behalf is actually going to be Rose Stewart, who is Njeri's job coach, has some good stories to tell about Njeri as well, as she's worked hand in hand with her, applying for jobs, practicing interviewing skills, going on the interviews, and then helping Njeri learn some skills and techniques to be successful at her position. So I welcome Rose Stewart from OFA.
Good morning. Working with Njeri was an absolute delight for me. As Tony said, Njeri would barely talk. I got one-word answers from her when I asked questions. We started the job searching, and I heard what she said. I want to work at Wawa. I hounded Wawa for about a year and a half until John finally decided to give Njeri an interview. And she was so nervous at the interview. She was beyond nervous. And I went with her into the interview. I stayed there with her. And I could sense there was an instant connection between the store manager at the time, John, and Njeri. And the conversation between the two of them started going very, very well. John wanted to bring Njeri back for a second interview with Mike Lucas, and I went there with her, and she said to me, "I don't need you, I have this." And that just showed me that her confidence level was just awesome. I've seen Njeri at work. I've seen her with the customers. I cannot believe it's the same person. And if any of you are ever in the Burlington area, she's at the Burlington Wawa on Route 541, and she's going to be the most awesome customer service person you will ever meet. On behalf of her manager, Mike Lucas, if I can work, here we go. He says he's really sorry he couldn't be here today. On behalf of Wawa Store 943, we thank you for this award today. It has been an honor and a pleasure to have Njeri as an associate at Wawa Store 943 in Burlington. I knew of Njeri from the time we were both at Holy Cross High School together a few years ago. We were Lances together then, and now we are a part of the Wawa flock. When I interviewed Njeri for the job, I could sense the nerves, but can tell how badly she wanted this job. She had a great interview, and before she walked out of the door, I knew I was going to hire her. Njeri is the epitome of what it means to be a Wawa employee. Her customer service is second to none, and she is a customer favorite here at our store. But more importantly, she has a heart of gold. She greets customers as they walk through the door by name and knows their orders before they even put it in through the system. She is also known to remind me to eat every day and even knows what I'll be getting. Thank goodness, because I never remember. To see Njeri when she first started to where she is now makes me so happy every single day. We work together, and it confirms that I did not make a mistake in hiring her. I look forward to many more days with her here at Wawa and watching her grow as an associate and a human being. Keep up the good work, girl. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, for the next award, I'd like to welcome Steve Oskey from America Works.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here for a lot of different reasons. America Works wants to thank the Board of Chosen Freeholders for hosting us today and honoring our nominees. We're really grateful to you and to everyone that has been working so hard to put this event together. So thank you for having us here. I also want to thank Walmart Corporation. We'll speak more about Walmart in a moment, but Amanda Callanan is here today to represent the Walmart store in Mays Landing, New Jersey. We really appreciate Walmart hiring our client, Michael LaFaucher, and for participating in today's event. So my colleague Steve Giannotti mentioned the fact that we use concepts of authentic happiness and Gallup strengths to enrich the lives of our clients. But as I heard Francesco's words today, I realized that our clients are enriching our lives. The work that all of us in this field do is so deeply gratifying. So it's something that I was keenly aware of as I listened to Francesco speak. So I've had the privilege of assisting thousands of people with their job searches over the years, but I've never really met anyone more inspirational than Michael LaFaucher. Michael enrolled with us in 2015, and we did our work with him, but it wasn't until we nominated him for this award that I got a stronger sense of his life and his life story. So Michael's story involves a debilitating injury and chronic pain. He did not give up. Francesco used a similar language in speaking about him and other individuals with disabilities, but Michael in his situation exhibited extraordinary courage and perseverance in dealing with the severity of his medical condition. Without those qualities, he would not have survived and thrived the way that he has. So just would like you to welcome one of the people that I admire the most, Michael LaFaucher, and later, Amanda. Thank you.
Good morning. Get set here. I would like to give thanks from the bottom of my heart for the most remarkable and humbling award to the Burlington County Board of Chosen Freeholders Disability Issues Committee. I am truly humbled, so thank you. Also, Steve Oskey from America Works. Steve has been instrumental in teaching me what I have learned in obtaining and keeping a job. I would like to thank my awesome boss at Walmart, Amanda Callan. My respect for her is paramount. Also, Ed Warren, who has taught me so much about the asset protection. I would like to thank my beautiful daughter, Brianna. And last but not least, my loving mother, Rosemary, and my father, Jack, who passed away 4 short years ago. Their morals and values, as well as their integrity, has encompassed my life. In 1995, I had a weightlifting accident which left me permanently disabled and left me with a neurological intractable chronic pain disease called RSD, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. I had 6 different surgeries, including medications and strong narcotics. I was told by my doctors that the prognosis was bad and it would get worse. I lost my dealing job at the casino, went through a divorce, bankruptcy. I was devastated. Having my daughter was probably the highlight. My weight had increased 50 pounds. After 20 years of doctors and going in and out of emergency rooms, due to the RSD flare-ups, ketamine treatments, tests and medications, and the strong narcotics that I was on, I was done. I was dying slowly. Depression was bad. Something had to change. At this time, my daughter's in college, and for my own sanity, I had to do something to save my life. I need to make drastic changes, so I decided to go off all my medications, especially the narcotics. I spoke with my doctors to reduce the massive amounts of narcotics that I was taking. The goal was to completely stop. My next step was to find work on a part-time basis. I did some investigating and tried to find several job placement companies, but to no avail. They offered nothing for a person who was disabled, and the communication between said companies was not there. The outlook was bleak at best. I dug a little deeper and found Ticket to Work program and got in touch with a lifesaver, Steve Oski. I had been unemployed for 20 years. As of the age of 15, I worked in restaurant business, working my way up to running 3 restaurants in a casino. My job after that, I got a dealing job at Trump Plaza and worked my way up to casino floor supervisor. Then the accident happened. After 20 years out of the workforce, things must have changed a lot, and I needed to know how. Things like resumes, interviewing, pre-testing for a job, which I had never gone through in the past. These are the types of things that America Work has taught me successfully. No other job placement companies offered such a diverse selection of learning. Mr. Steve Oski played a major role in this process. After the mock interviews and learning the resume process and everything else America Works taught me, I got a job at Walmart in 2015. Working with America Works has been such a profound experience. Working in the beginning was difficult, very difficult, due to the pain. I hung in there, fought through it. I have stopped all my medications except for my flare-ups. I have lost over 77 pounds, which is a miracle. I feel that I'm in top shape, mentally and physically, and now I have a new lease on life. I was hired May 1st, 2015 as a door greeter. I quickly received several awards and was promoted to the Asset Protection Department as an AP Customer Host Specialist. I enjoy my job immensely. I have taken on a leadership role in the host program, and I'm involved with training new associates, learning more about asset protection. My goals are to keep working and to do my job best of my ability. I have set obtainable goals for myself. My disability has limited the hours that I can work, but I have come to terms with that. I can only do what I can do and only hope to get better. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael, thank you for your generous remarks about me and our company. I'm glad that we were part of your life and still are, so thank you so much, Michael. I wanted to thank again Amanda Callanan, Asset Protection Manager of the Walmart store in Mays Landing. In the letter that the Board of Chosen Freeholders sent to the companies that were coming today, they noted Walmart's willingness to not only hold a person's disability against them, but to hire a person with a disability based solely on their skills and talents, and those qualities are exemplary. It is the hope of the Board of Freeholders that all businesses will follow this example and allow a person with a disability the same opportunity as anyone else. They point out in this letter that ability to do the job at hand is what counts. So they refer to Walmart as a role model for other businesses, and as we know, that corporation is at the forefront in hiring veterans and individuals with disabilities. So Amanda, please come up.
Good morning. I wanted to thank everybody, especially Mike and Steve, for having me here today. In my 12-year career with Walmart, I've come in contact with a multitude of different personalities. During my growth with this company, I have gone from part-time cashier working my way through college to full-time asset protection manager. When I got to the Mays Landing Walmart in October of 2016 and met Michael LaFaucher, I met a motivated man with a story. Over time, Mike became my go-to guy, my right-hand man, the one I could go to for anything and everything. Mike's position in our store as customer host is vital to our company's success and our store's operation. Mike stops the company from losses, and I could not have asked for a better man on the job or a better trainer for our new incoming associates. During the last year with Mike, I have gotten to know his story, how Mike was hired in 2015 with help from America Works, and his trials and tribulations. Mike then wasn't just an associate, but a true inspiration to me. During this past summer, while I was away from work, recovering from a shoulder and neck injury, Mike was a source of strength and someone I could ask all my questions to, as part of my injuries were similar to some of those that he had obtained. When Mike told me he was nominated for this award when I got back to work, I immediately knew that I had to do what I could to make sure Mike's nomination came to fruition through Walmart. When Mike let me know that he had won, I was filled with pride and joy for him, as I know no one who deserves to be recognized more for overcoming what may have seemed like immeasurable odds. Congratulations, Mike.
Okay. And for the last award, unfortunately, please welcome Jason Ruskell from the New Jersey Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services.
Hello, my name is Jason Ruscio, DVR counselor, and I nominated Kevin Sargent for this award, and he asked me to say a few words. When I first met Kevin, my impression was that he was very friendly and an interesting person who's full of life and who had a positive attitude. I learned that Kevin has a great support system coming from his family, who are always there for him to help him in any way they can. Just like me, Kevin loves animals, and when he came to me, he wanted to become a veterinary technician. DVR fully supported him as he went to BCIT to pursue his dream. Kevin had dogs and cats growing up and was very close to them, as if they were family. He told me that he now has a dog named Milo and 2 cats named Bonnie and Clyde. His love for animals translates well to his job as a veterinary assistant at Paws and Claws in Florence. In the future, Kevin would like to continue going to school in order to get his veterinary tech degree and continue working with animals. Kevin says that his family is always there for him and pushes him in the right direction, and the staff at his job has made his work interesting and fulfilling as they help him to learn and grow. I am very proud to give this award to Kevin Sargent. Kevin, please come up here. I'd now like to introduce Sharon from Paws and Claws.
Hi, I'm Sharon Johnson, owner of Paws and Claws Veterinary Clinic in Florence, New Jersey, and Kevin was very persistent. He kept coming in, saying he was looking for a job, he wanted to work with animals. So I spoke to my technician, Valerie Crum, about it, and we decided to give him a chance because he seemed like a pleasant young man, and he really wanted to do it. And he's been doing a very good job. Sometimes I get compliments on how he's doing, like they say he's really good with the animals. Sometimes he does get a little stressed, so he has to take a time out. But I know that, that does happen, but we know that his family works with him and they help him, they've helped him like deal with any kind of like stressors and things that come along in his life. But overall, he's doing a very good job and we're very happy. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sad. Congratulations and thank you to all the award winners, both individuals and employers. I want to thank all the agencies and those individuals who support all those recognized today, and of course, thank you all for helping daily, everything that you all do every day in supporting all your family members and all those that you support in your jobs every day, those with varying abilities, as I like to call, not disabilities. I want to thank all of you for attending this really important event, and I want to thank Kurt Jung for your thoughts. And I also want to say a big thank you to the Burlington County Disability Issues Committee team and the Employment Subcommittee, and also to Steve Mader for this event, all your planning and hard work. And I'd like you all to have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you.